Yeah, can you talk about just how bad or severe is the alcohol and drug problem in the Army today, and how that affects the families of soldiers?
Well, it's like Brian was saying, as soon as you get into your unit, it's kind of an environment where there's so much peer competition, where it's all about how many push-ups you can do, how much you can drink, how many women you can score. And even the females that I've encountered often compete within themselves to try to be equal to or even greater than the guys in a lot of these areas. And you know, alcohol is a huge part of it. You go out with your family, your new family, which is all these soldiers, and what you do is drink. Many of them aren't from the local areas. They all come from different areas around the United States, so they're not with their family. So all they have is their unit, and if their unit's going out to drink, and that's what's, you know, that's what's encouraged, is to, you know, get out and get drunk a lot of times, is seen as almost respectable, having a drinking problem. Guys end up doing that, and then they end up with post-traumatic stress disorder or traumatic brain injury, and they don't get the acceptable help, and they don't want help because it's not macho to have any psychological or emotional injuries in the military. So a lot of these guys turn to the only thing that takes away their pain, or what they think takes away their pain, is the alcohol. And there's ASAP programs where soldiers are supposed to be able to go get help, but they're very ineffective. So eventually a lot of these guys do get kicked out of the military. They have relationship problems because of their drinking problems, and they develop other problems because of their drinking problems. They get kicked out of the military. Only 50% of veteran hospitals have any treatment for substance abuse, and often you can't get any treatment if you're suicidal, or you can't get treatment for suicide or mental health because you have an alcohol problem. So a lot of guys get turned away, and I don't know if you realize it, but more veterans and soldiers have died from suicide after coming back from Iraq than have died in the war. More soldiers and veterans die of suicide than have died in the war itself. So drinking is not a stimulant. It doesn't cheer you up. It doesn't get rid of your problems. And many of these guys often resort to that, and it's a downward spiral. If you look at our homeless community, especially here in Colorado Springs, you go up and talk to them, most of them are veterans. And if you talk to the ones that aren't veterans, you'll find that most of them have either a mental health problem and or a substance abuse problem. And we've got soldiers coming back from this war that aren't being treated properly for their mental health. They turn to substance abuse, and they have both. And it's not surprising that these veterans, even our generation of veterans, are ending up on the street.
Well, you know, a lot of units do random drug testing, but they'll tell you, they would tell us even just a week or two before the drug test what drugs they were testing for. I had never seen drugs before the military. I had never seen ecstasy. I did not know cough syrup could be used as a drug. And we had soldiers boozing up on cough syrup and taking ecstasy pills, and you know, being down in Fort Hood, Texas, and Killeen, Texas, it's a very small town. There's not a whole lot to do. They have a lot of strip clubs. They've got a lot of liquor stores and bars and nightclubs. And I was exposed to all that scene. And, you know, ecstasy, they didn't test for the drugs that were in ecstasy. And cough syrup never shows up as anything. And alcohol was a legal way to get drunk. You know, on Fort Hood, on the base, they have this thing called Fast Pass. And all you would have to do versus what you would have to do before is you'd have to go up to the gate guard and you have to show them your ID. And if you're inebriated or drunk at all, they'd be able to identify that and make sure you get home in a different way, or however they dealt with that. But with the Fast Pass, all you had to do was flash your card into this little scanner, and it would scan you, and you can go right through without seeing anybody. And for me, that was almost like permission to drink and drive. They didn't want you to get in trouble, so as long as you got on the base, then you were safe and sound and good to go to your barracks. And part of me said, well, that makes sense, because you know, I don't want all the people I know getting arrested for drinking and driving, but at the same time it was almost like permission to do it. And so I always had mixed opinions about these Fast Passes.